Climatic factors. These are elements of the climate, weather, that influence the life and distribution of organisms that live in a particular environment. Light is an important factor in the environment. It affects the structure, growth, and activities of organisms. Sunlight is the source of energy for all organisms. It is essential for photosynthesis, the process by which green plants make their food. The biotic environment relies on green plants photosynthesizing so that they can obtain their energy when these plants are eaten. The duration, intensity, and color of light affect the rate of photosynthesis. The light plays the important role in opening and closing of the stomata, openings under the leaf. The stomata are opened mostly in light and are closed in the dark. Therefore the rate of transpiration, the loss of water vapor, is influenced by light. Light also influences the development of pigments responsible for floral color, and for photosynthesis. It also influences pigmentation, color, in animals. For example, cave-living animals tend to have a lack of skin pigment, whereas animals or humans living in tropical regions have more skin pigment. Light influences the movement of plant parts. This is called phototroism, where the parts of the plants either move towards or away from the light source. Some enzymes are light sensitive and will only start or stop in the presence of light. Invertebrates with thin skins tend to move away from sunlight, to prevent desiccation, e.g. earthworms, whilst others tend to move towards the source of light like butterflies and moths. Some plants grow well in full sunlight called heliophytes, shade-hating, e.g. pine, corn. Whilst some plants grow well in the shade called psiophytes, shade-loving, such as moss, fern, etc. The day length also determine plants' flowering and reproductive cycles, migration and seasonal changes in hair coats and feathers in animals. Some plants need a long day of sunlight to flower, others need a short day, less than 12 hrs, and others are not influenced at all by the length of sunlight received. It has an effect on the behavior activities of animals. Some animals prefer to hunt and stay awake at night, nocturnal, whilst some stay awake during the day, diurnal. Measuring light intensity. Light intensity is measured using a light meter. The meter is held at the soil surface and pointed in the direction of the maximum light intensity, and the meter is read. The degree of hotness or coldness of a body is called temperature. It is one of the most essential factors which influence all forms of life. Temperature affects the behavior and distribution of plants and animals. Temperature influences the activities of organisms such as metabolism, reproduction, growth and development, behavior and death. The normal life processes go on smoothly at a specific range of temperature. This is called their optimum temperature. Enzymes show their highest activity in optimum temperature, and this varies among organisms. Most living organisms can only survive within 5 degrees Celsius and 35 degrees Celsius range. However, there are some exceptions such as cyanobacteria, certain bacteria, seeds, and spores which live in hot springs or extremely cold temperatures. These organisms have various behavioral or physical adaptations to living in those extreme environments. Some organisms can tolerate a wide range of temperatures such as frog, toad, lizard, and humans, and others can tolerate a narrow range of temperatures such as fishes and snails. The temperature in water environments change less than the land environment because of the ability of water to retain heat longer and release heat slower, specific heat capacity. Some species become dormant during periods of heat and drought, and others during winter. A woodchuck can drop its temperature 60 degrees less than normal and its heartbeat goes from 80 to 4 beats per minute. Extreme temperatures in plants causes development of thick bark, dense hairy coat, thick leaves, etc. Temperature also varies the maturation of sexual organs, sex ratio, males to females, eggs and larvae for some organisms. The rate of transpiration is affected by temperature. The higher the temperature, the higher the rate of transpiration. It plays a role in seed germination, and extreme low and high temperatures can retard the growth and development of plants. Temperature varies in various quarters of the Earth according to latitude and altitude. It is also influenced by plant cover, atmospheric humidity, water reservoirs, air current and snow. As we increase in latitude, the temperature gets colder, therefore different zones of plants and animals are seen. According to the change of temperature with the increase of latitude, various vegetation zones have been recognized. Similarly, on the basis of change in temperature due to altitude, many vegetation zones can be observed. Enzymes that catalyze processes within the body require a narrow range of temperatures. Temperature will affect the adaptations of animals and plants. For example, animals in cold climates may develop a thick layer of fat or thick fur coats, and they may hibernate during the winter months. Plants may lose their leaves during winter or leave only their bulbs underground as the top dies. Other organisms are adapted to live in only warm climates. Thus, the temperature of an environment can affect what plants and animals can live there. Measuring temperature: the temperature is measured after 3 to 5 minutes in the environment using a thermometer. A maximum and minimum thermometer measures the highest and lowest temperatures during the day. Precipitation: precipitation occurs when cooling and condensation, liquidifying, of water vapor at high altitudes. The product of the condensation of atmospheric water vapor that falls on the ground. It includes all moistures in the form of rain, snow, hail, sleet, dew, frost, drizzle, etc. The precipitation will depend on the season, wind, air pressure, and temperature. Of all the forms of precipitation, rain is the main source of soil water and affects the humidity of the atmosphere. The annual rainfall in an area determines the vegetation and animals that can survive. For example, the area with annual rainfall that is less than 25 centimeters, such as a desert or an ice/snow-covered region, has xerophytic plants. Xerophytic, dry-loving, such as cacti and pineapple, are known to survive in such areas. They develop modifications to increase water absorption, reduce transpiration, and store absorbed water, such as thick leaves, and store water within their leaves and stems. The area with annual rainfall that is between 25 to 75 centimeters is characterized by grassland. The area with annual rainfall that is between 75 to 250 centimeters is characterized by grassland, deciduous and coniferous forests. The area with annual rainfall that is more than 250 centimeters includes evergreen forests and rine forests. The amount of water in the area can also determine the type of plant. For example, plants growing in an area with plenty of water are called hydrophytes. They possess aerenchyma, air-containing cells, to support themselves in water. Plants growing in an area having moderate water are called mesophytes. And those growing in dry areas are called xerophytes. Effects of water on organisms. Water is an important part of all living cells and is required for survival. Heavy rainfall can cause landslides, flooding and soil erosion that damage life and plants. Hail and sleet can destroy young plants, flowers, buds and fruits. Dew and frost are important in plants where there is low rainfall. The soil water which comes from rainfall is essential for seed germination. Humidity: this is the measure of the amount of water vapor in air. Effects of humidity on organisms: it influences the rate of transpiration in plants. The higher the humidity, the lesser the rate of transpiration. It influences the rate of perspiration in humans. At high humidity, sweating is less. It is an important source of water for epiphytes like lichens and mosses. It plays an important role in the germination of spores of fungi. Wind: the moving current of air is called wind. Air moves from higher to lower atmospheric pressure. It is also one of the most important factors which affect life. Effects of wind on organisms: air currents determine the weather conditions of the area. The high velocity of wind causes breakages of branches and uprooting of trees. It can also cause the permanent bend in trees and lodging, flattening of plants, in many crop plants. Strong wind can increase the rates of evaporation and transpiration, which may lead to the desiccation and wilting of plants. This can cause premature falling of flowers, buds, fruits and leaves. Persistent strong winds restrict the height of plants due to excessive loss of water by transpiration. The plants of such areas usually possess strong spreading roots and strong but flexible shoots. Strong wind causes soil erosion that reduces soil fertility. This can cause desertification. When land becomes unusable, desert-like, excess wind can cause the drying up of shallow ponds, which affects aquatic life. It helps in the pollination and dispersal of seeds, fruits of many plants. It helps in the migration of flying animals like bird, insects, etc. Aquatic factors. Organisms that live in aquatic habitats are affected by the abiotic factors in their environment such as temperature, sunlight, wind, and water quality. They also are affected by unique factors that are not experienced by organisms living on land. These include water movement and speed of flow. Plants and animals that live in fast-moving waters such as rivers and streams may get washed away unless they attach themselves to objects. Therefore, many plants are seen to attach themselves to stones such as seaweeds. The movement of water through waves and tides may also move and damage some organisms. Animals and plants who live on shorelines usually adapt to the constant exposure to air or submergence in water by having shells or surrounded with mucus to prevent water loss, such as sea urchins, starfish, mussel shells. Depth. As we go deeper into water, the light intensity and oxygen levels decrease. Animals such as plankton, small fishes, and shrimps grows better in upper layers of water, whilst fungi, sponges and sea anemone grow better in lower layers. Water clarity. Clear water allows more sunlight to reach higher depths than muddy or polluted waters. Without light, plants cannot photosynthesize and thus die. Oxygen. There is much less oxygen in water than air. There is more oxygen in moving water than stagnant water. If oxygen levels drop too low, organisms will not be able to survive and thus will die. Salinity. The amount of salt in the water results in the type of water: freshwater, brackish, and salt water. Certain organisms such as tuna and dolphin can survive in seawater, however, fishes such as goldfish and tilapia survive in freshwater. Organisms in rock pools or seashore ponds must be able to withstand changes in salinity, as evaporation may increase the salt content of the water, and rainfall may decrease the salt content of the water. Other organisms have learned to survive in between conditions known as brackish water. Mangroves and small fishes can survive in a balance of fresh and salt water.